name is Sandra, host of Boss Lady Live, where I come to you every Monday night with experts to discuss issues of crime and violence, love and relationships, health and wellness, various different topics that affect us right here in Jamaica. Please like and share and subscribe. Click on the notification bell to be advised when you're on. See you then.
Hi, good evening. Welcome again to Boss Lady Live. And as usual, I'm very happy to see you join. And it is my pleasure every Monday night at 8 o'clock to bring you information that really matters. I know it's subjective to who is listening, but I like to engage my audience in things that are crucial, critical, whatever word you want to use, to Jamaica and the development of Jamaica. And this evening is like every other evening. We address the importance of volunteerism. Now, we know that there are very different, you have individuals, you have different groups, but tonight in particular, we are speaking to two groups, the Kiwanis and the Rotarians. Now, there's a disclaimer. I am a Rotarian. Let me just get rid of this. Yes, I am a Rotarian. And so I'm just making it clear that I'm not going to be showing any bias, right? But I am a Rotarian. And we are aware that, you have optimists, you have lions, you have many various different groups. But tonight, you can't interview everybody. So I am choosing two of the well-known groups, Rotarians and Kiwanis. And we just really want to have a chit chat about becoming a volunteer, mainly. But we want to tell you what it's about, because it's, many persons may have never thought of volunteering for anything in particular, but we want to tell you our experiences and the joy it has brought to us so far. So tonight we have from Rotary, we have the assistant governor. I went for the top dogs. You know me, I like to go for the ones who are at the top of their game. So tonight we have William Aiken, Dr. William Aiken, and he's the Assistant Governor 2020, and he'll tell you what that means. That's present. He's a multiple Paul Harris Fellow, and he's also a benefactor. He'll tell you what all that means as well. He's been a Rotarian since 2001. He's the president of the Rotary Club of New Kingston. He was the president of Rotary Club of New Kingston 2017-2018. And also the District Vocational Service Chair 2018-2019. And we also have with us Mr. Hugh Reid. And Hugh is a Kiwanian. And Hugh joined Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew November 1990. So he has been a volunteer for many years, same as Bill. I don't know what SLP, because I'm not familiar.
Service Leadership Program.
Service Leadership
Program.
For Marvelly, Builders Club, Woolmer's Girls Key Club, and St. Joseph Teachers College Circle K Club. Because you have Circle K in high schools, right?
Colleges.
And colleges, and you have Kiwanis in high school as well.
Key clubs.
We have Rotaractors, and we have Rotaractors, and what again? They'll remind me.
Interactors and early.
You have Interactors and we have Rotaractors. So we have similar things. Currently he's the Lieutenant Governor elect designate 2021-2022. For Kiwanis Eastern Canada and Caribbean Division, Division 23 Central. and there's lots more in his Kiwanis career that he will tell you about. So before I start with Bill, let us just see a little bit about Rotary. Let us just hear and see a little bit about Rotary.
Our connections make powerful things happen, uniting individuals and communities. We are Rotary. We are people of action. And together, we turn great ideas into reality by accessing our networks, our experience, and the best of ourselves to make a difference. Around the world, Rotary brings leaders together to build new friendships and to solve problems. Like in Austria, where generations work side by side to come up with innovative ways to build sustainable housing and community centers. Everyone learning from each other. In India, volunteers run a mobile blood bank to help provide a steady blood supply for their local community. And in Taiwan, people are working hard to get vulnerable citizens the support and services they need. With over 1 million members, we know what people can do when they come together. In your backyard and around the world, there's power in our connections. Take action with us. Find out more at Rotary.org.
Yes, Bill. So welcome once again on Boss Lady Live.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. This is, I think, the third time I've been.
Yes, because we had to have your presentation was so powerful. We had to have a part 1 and part 2. So this is our third time.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here.
About yourself and why, first of all, why Rotary and why did you choose volunteerism?
Okay, so as you know, Sandra, I'm a urologist, a glorified plumber, I like to say. I plumb people. In 2001, a colleague of mine invited me to his club meeting, the Rotary Club of New Kingston. And I was drawn to the camaraderie and the fellowship that the club enjoyed. But prior to that, I was on an individual basis involved in volunteerism. From 1995 to the present, I am a volunteer for the Jamaica Cancer Society's prostate cancer screening clinic. So prior to joining Rotary on an individual basis, I was involved in voluntary service. So it was an easy fit for me when, I visited the Rotary Club and saw that apart from the fellowship and the camaraderie, they were all about coming together to give service to the community. And that was something I believed a lot in. And so it was an easy fit for me to become a Rotarian because they were doing something that I was already doing in my individual life, and which now coming together with persons, other persons, we could leverage the diversity and the fellowship to have even a greater impact. And so this is my Rotary story. Since 2001, I have been a Rotarian and I have never regretted the journey.
Okay, all right. So we go over to Hugh now. Hugh is a Kiwanian, and we are going to hear a little bit about what is Kiwanis.
Kiwanis is an organization that reaches out to youth and helps them to become the best possible leaders that they could be.
It's about changing a community. It's about changing the future.
Let me tell you that we never give back as much as we receive.
Los Kiwanis somos personas de acción.
The biggest misunderstanding in the public about who and what Kiwanis is that it's a bunch of old white guys hanging around, eating lunch, smoking cigars, talking about what they're going to do for the little poor kids of the world. It's people who are young. It's people who are women. It's brown people. It's white people. It's young, beautiful women like me. That's the truth.
I love Kiwanis. I think they're cool. And more people need to be a part of Kiwanis. When I joined Kiwanis, it was a good day.
He said, I'd like to invite you to lunch, and I'll pay.
They were getting ready to have a pancake day breakfast.
And I said, oh, these guys are okay.
Je crois que tous les jours, depuis que je suis rentrée, je me dis que ça ne pouvait pas être autrement.
And I enjoy the company, and they talk about so many interesting things.
And they did this hands-on service themselves. And I said, it's for me. And I joined right away.
El día que cambió mi vida, podríamos decir, porque es una de las partes más importantes de mi vida, estar en Kiwanis.
Welcome, Hugh.
Thank
And
you.
it is your second time as well. It is your second time on
Yes.
Boss Lady Live. So let's tell us a little bit about why you became a Kiwanian and your journey as a Kiwanian.
Okay, thank you, Sandra, and good evening to all of your listeners on YouTube, Instagram, and other media. My desire for service, I think, started way back when I graduated from university. I went to the University of West Indies, and believe it or not, youngsters won't believe it, but believe it or not, the cost for my bachelor's degree in economics and my master's degree in accounting was totally paid for by the government of Jamaica. I did not pay a single cent. And it left...
That was the good old days, right?
That was the good old days. That was the good old days. So it really left a mark on me to know that, you know, I could have done 2 degrees at university and it didn't cost me anything. And over time, as I've seen the cost of education rise, I have come to realize that I was indeed very blessed. And it has informed my philosophy of service. And I believe that service is the rent we pay for the life we live here.
I like that.
Yes.
I really like that.
Yes, I really believe that. And to the extent that we're blessed, we need to give back. But in addition, the other thing that has informed my service is that I really believe that if you buy a fish for someone, you teach them to fish for one day. But if you teach them how to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. And Rotary and Kiwanis are all about teaching skills and empowering people to make a better life. So I would say that my life has been one of service. I have volunteered with my alma mater, the college, Kingston College, the Kingston College Development Trust Fund.
Oh Lord, you know, Bill, I'll give it to you.
No.
I'll give it to you.
No, man, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
I had to get that in. But I've also volunteered with my professional association, the Institute of Chartered Accountants, with my UK association, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants in the UK. And I've also served as a past president of the Insurance Association of Jamaica. In terms of Kiwanis, I think I've done it all. I've been a distinguished secretary. I have been a Kiwanin of the Year. I have been a distinguished president. I have served on the division as a divisional treasurer, and I'm now about to give service as a lieutenant governor-elect designate for 2021-2022, and the lieutenant governor for 2022-2023. So it's a two-year process. And as I said, my life has been about giving back because I have been blessed.
Boy, you know, so let me just say what I have been. That's first of all, that's both of you. That's really outstanding, because volunteerism is really like another job. The only thing is that really and truly, what you get back from it far surpasses what you really bring to the table. I've been a Rotarian for over 15 years. I broke my service to go and do my master's, and then I went back because really and truly, service is a part of me. And joining a group or any group such as these, it helps you to, well, whatever vision you have for your volunteerism, it widens it, and also it assists you to do the things that you were trying to do on your own, because there's also financial help with these organizations as well. So I want to ask, let me go over back to you now, Bill. What are some of the things, what are some of the areas that you would say that Rotary has invested where Jamaica is concerned? I know it's an international body. Both groups are international bodies. So you can speak about internationally what we do, but in particular, because I'm targeting the Jamaicans now, because I really want them to get involved in what I like to say, the upgrading of Jamaica, the continuity of Jamaica, the improvement of Jamaica and Jamaicans. So just give us an overview as to some of the things that Rotary is involved in.
Thank you for that question, Sandra. Before I answer, though, two things. I want to congratulate Hugh on his service through Kiwanis and his ascendancy to the lieutenant governor. And I want to say how we still think alike. The quotation that he gave about service to others is the rent you pay for your room on earth was made by Muhammad Ali, and I have it written down here because it really is something I genuinely believe, and it's amazing how we both had that quotation to give. So to answer your question specifically though, Sandra, so locally, one of the largest and most impactful projects that Rotary has done for Jamaica is the cardiac unit at the Bustamante Hospital for Children. This is a unit that Rotary, along with Shaggy and Friends, as well as quite a few other corporate entities, has significantly upgraded to allow major cardiac surgery to take place. Very complex, very difficult cardiac cases. They have partnered with Chain of Hope, which is a visiting cardiac team that has for many years come to Jamaica and partnered with our local cardiothoracic surgeons and performed complex open heart surgeries on children who would otherwise have died had they not got this important and life-saving
which many of them could never afford.
Correct. So the physical upgrading of the facilities in terms of facilities to do complex imaging procedures on the heart and to allow for complex surgeries to take place, as well as the ventilators, the training of nurses, and the training of other staff to man the cardiac unit. All of this has been spearheaded by Rotary and is perhaps, I think, one of the most impactful projects of Rotary in Jamaica. In terms of globally, Rotary's most, I would say, ambitious project is the eradication of polio. And when Rotary started this project back in the 80s, there were over, I believe, 200,000 children per year suffering from polio. And now we're down to just one country, and that's Afghanistan, where a pocket of polio cases remain. So we have been largely successful. We have eradicated polio by 99%. In last year, or sorry, not last year, I think year before last, Africa was declared polio free. The northern parts of Nigeria, where Boko Haram is involved with, was one of the last places in Africa to be declared polio free, and it was Rotary's negotiating with Boko Haram to go in those areas because there's a lot of mistrust when people come in to vaccinate, they think that people are spying and so on. So Rotary was able to eradicate polio in the northern parts of Nigeria, along with our partners. And now we have eradicated polio in Pakistan, and only Afghanistan remains as the only country where polio is left to be eradicated. So this is one of our most major projects, and we partner with the Center for Diseases Control, the World Health Organization, the Bill and Melinda Gates Organization. But Rotary actually puts people on the ground. And of course, we contribute large sums of money, which is matched 2-for-1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
And you have a lot of partnerships as well. Food for the
Absolutely.
poor, and all of those different partnerships.
Right. Absolutely. So the WHO, the Centers for Disease Control, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are some of our major partners involved in the eradication of polio.
Right. Hugh?
Okay. In terms of Kiwanis, as you indicated, and just like Rotary, Kiwanis is an international organization. We have maybe about upwards of 350,000 adult members in more than 8,000 clubs, and roughly the same in terms of our youth program. And in Jamaica, we have about 83 clubs with close to 3,000 members, and maybe about upwards of 5,000 what we call service leadership program. That is our young people. And, I would like to say that there is no parish, there is no town in Jamaica that has not benefited from the service of Kiwanis in terms of whether it be schools, clinics, hospitals, and other construction to help those who are in need. But I think the crowning achievement of Kiwanis is its youth program. We have a focus on our young people, and we have Circle K clubs, which are in colleges, Key clubs, which are in high schools, Builders clubs, which are in what we call the primary schools, and then K kids, which are the youngest of the lot. And I would think that what we have done, Sandra and Bill, is that we have invested in these young people. These clubs are modeled, just like in Rotary, on Kiwanis clubs. So they have an officer corps, they have a board, they do projects, they fundraise, they interclub, they enjoy themselves. And in so doing, we are preparing them for life. Right back to my philosophy.
Many of them have become serious leaders in their whatever area they have chosen.
So we are teaching them how to fish, and this will benefit them for their entire lives. And the only thing I would say other than that, Sandra, is until the Lord comes to restore his kingdom, the closest you can get to immortality is through your service to others, which will live on in them and benefit the world and Jamaica. And there's no shortage of need. We are a poor country, although the World Bank will tell you that we're a middle-income country, but we know the truth. And those of us, yourself, Bill, and myself, who have benefited from the taxes of the poor, have a duty to help others who are in need.
Yes.
So Sandra,
yes.
May I just say that Hugh touched on a very important point. When you're on your deathbed, nobody is going to remember the car you drove or the type of house you lived in or how, the fantastic food, the restaurants you went to. What they're going to remember is the word of encouragement you gave to somebody, the time that you and effort that you put into somebody's life, the service that you gave to them, how you made life better for another human being. That is what will be remembered, and that is what can change the course of a generation. You know, you can change the course of somebody's trajectory by just spending time with them, pouring your life into their life. And that is what will count at the end of the day. Not the car you drove or the big house that you lived in. None of those things really matter when you're
And
on the
none can
deathbed.
go with you when you're going.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. So all right. So there is also before we get into other serious sides of Rotary, there's also a social side to these service clubs. Tell us a little bit about that.
Hugh or Bill?
Bill.
All
Bill
right. Well,
first.
all right. Well, you know, Sandra, we always say Rotary is about having fun while giving service to your community. Our motto is service above self. But you could also say that we believe in having fun while giving
Right.
service. It's a voluntary organization. And so, you know, people, one of the things about being in a voluntary organization is that your leadership is extremely important, because unlike the corporate world, where you know you have no choice but to obey your boss because you can be fired, in service clubs such as Kiwanis and Rotary, you are having like-minded people who are also leaders in their business and professions, and they come to Rotary with high expectations. They come to Kiwanis with high expectations, expectations to give service, and expectations to network, expectations to fellowship. And so you have to meet those expectations. And when persons join organizations such as Rotary and Kiwanis, they want to enjoy the process of giving back, because it's something that they naturally believe in and they naturally want to do. But they want to come together with like-minded people who have diverse skill sets and who together are greater. The sum is greater than the individuals, and they can together leverage that diversity of skill set and ideas and so on to give to the community. And that's what it's all about, you know. And I'm sure Hugh will agree with me that this is what it's all about, having great fellowship and fun while giving service to your community, to those in need around you.
Hugh, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, in fact, what I would say that, you know, Rotary and Kiwanis and Soroptimus and Optimus and Lions, they are what I call win-win propositions. Because in giving to others, Sandra and Bill, you are in fact enriching your life. But in return, you also get some other benefits. Because the truth is, and I'm sure it's true for you, and I'm sure it's true for Bill and myself, some of our best friends come out of our Kiwanis and Rotarian experience. In Kiwanis, you know, there's a joke. Anything you want to do, if it's a doctor, a lawyer, Indian chief, you can find it in Kiwanis. And we encourage our Kiwanians to help each other, because in helping each other, we are helping ourselves to help others.
Yeah, we're a very diverse group, yes.
In fact, Sandra, diversity is one of our core values. We believe in diversity of all sorts, diversity of vocation, diversity in terms of age, diversity in terms of gender and race. We believe in, because the greater the diversity, the more the wider and more you know, wholesome the interaction, and the more you can bring ideas to the table and can reach out to communities because of that diversity. So we believe in diversity. That's one of our core values.
You both spoke about being in the schools and universities and even early childhood prep schools and stuff. what do you have to say about mentorship overall? Because I have been mentored even as an adult. So I would say the service clubs also offer mentorship to young, upwardly mobile persons who get a chance to socialize with persons who are possibly in the same field that they're in or in fields that they're interested in. So can we just speak a little bit about mentorship as well, where the service clubs are concerned? Hugh, I want to start with Hugh.
Okay, that is, I can speak to that from a personal experience. When I left university and started working, I was very shy, not outgoing, and it is Kiwanis who has wrought an entire transformation in my experience. Where although I'm still an introvert, it's hard for people to believe that.
Right.
But I know better. But it is Kiwanis who has brought about this transformation in terms of, public speaking, in terms of, Bill mentioned it, leadership. Because to the extent that in your professional avocation, you have to lead persons, you're leading them primarily maybe because of the necessity for them to follow you. When you can bring to your professional avocation the leadership of influence, the leadership of emotional intelligence, then you find that not only are you doing a good job in Kiwanis, but the job you're doing in your professional avocation is very important. And I think to some extent, I have seen a sort of reduction in the number of persons who are putting themselves forward for service in Kiwanis. And I think it is something that we need to address.
What do you think is accounting for that, Hugh?
The economic decline is a part of the picture. Because I remember when I joined Kiwanis in the 1990s, nobody would think anything jumping in their car, going to Montego Bay, interclubbing with the Kiwanis Club of Providence or Montego Bay or Freeport and coming back. It was nothing. Nowadays, the price of gas is so high that persons don't want to drive. They want to pool. You have to get a bus. When you look at the actual cost of membership in a Kiwanis club, Kiwanis International now, what they have done is, because the cost of membership is so high in the traditional clubs, where some of them, your fee incorporates meals and other costs. They now have established what they call young professionals Kiwanis clubs. So they are structured differently. They still have the same officer core and board, but for example, they don't meet every week. They meet once a month. They might do even more service than the traditional clubs, but their cost structure is much lower, and therefore that is the way in which you can then start to include younger persons who couldn't afford. I mean, the cost for my club fees is $11,000 a month. I know Rotary is maybe that, but my club is 11,000. But a lot of people can't afford 11,000. So I agree. It is Q1 is one of the ways to transform the lives of young people and enable them to make a contribution to the country, to themselves, and to their families.
Bill?
In terms of Rotary, so Sandra, you're aware that Rotary has a structure where at the level of the primary and prep schools, we have early act. At the level of high schools, we have interactors. And then from teenage to 30, traditionally, we had Rotaractors. What Rotary has done recently in order to increase the pool and not lose Rotaractors is to allow persons to remain Rotaractors for life if they don't want to make that transition from Rotaract to Rotary. We are facing the same challenges that you mentioned. I think you know, when I joined Rotary, I remember very much. First of all, we didn't have women in Rotary at the time when I joined Rotary.
Well, they wised up. They wised up.
Yeah, indeed, they wised up. In fact, we lost quite a few members when we brought women into the club because some persons felt
You're
that,
lost.
yeah.
Look
But
at pass.
Rotary, as I said, is a much richer for that, and diversity is one of our core values. But what I was about to say is that when I joined Rotary, it was largely middle-aged and older men, you know, who were definitely CEOs and you know, CFOs of their various organizations.
And urologists.
Plumbers, glorified plumbers. What has happened is that there has been a demographic shift in Rotary for sure, in that you're now seeing a lot more young people coming into Rotary who are at a stage where they have young families and their careers are just taking off. And so the time that they can devote necessarily to doing things like interclubbing and so on is not, they don't have as much control over their time. Having said that, Rotary is not so much focused on attendance as it traditionally was, but it's more focused on engagement. So it doesn't matter if somebody doesn't attend meetings a lot, as long as that person is contributing to the service projects of the club or contributing in some other way, meeting behind the scenes or involved in the life of the club in some way. That is important. So, and that is how we get around that. But definitely we're not seeing as much as what Hugh mentioned earlier, where people would jump in a car and go interclubbing and so on. In terms of COVID, I'm sure you're going to come to that. We have seen a lot of changes since COVID, but I know that we're going to be discussing that in another section of your program.
Yes. Mashan says, she says, I can say the positive impact of Key Club, Kiwanis, on my daughter has been so significant. Like I'm sure many parents can attest to in terms of interact as well. You know, it really makes a difference in terms of leadership training. That is a big one. I have seen where, you know, people, as Hugh said, you know, you have a lot of persons who are introverts and they get this opportunity in their peer group to become leaders in their own rights. You know what I mean? So really and truly, it is really significant. So what I want you to, both of you, to speak a little bit about, because I know being a Rotarian, persons see it as an elitist club. I don't know if it's the same for Kiwanis, but you know, it's said, you know, it's only certain people join these clubs, and you know, well, of course, it used to be called a boys' club. It's no longer that way. I believe there are still some all-male groups in Kiwanis, right? But we won't hold it against them because it is what it is. You know what I mean? So I want you, both of you, to tell me, how does one become a Rotarian or a Kiwania? Is there a qualification? Is there a pre-qualification? How do you have to be invited, or do you just turn up at a meeting? How do you become a member of Rotary and Kiwanis? I'll start with you first, Bill.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Thank you for that question. So you have to be invited to a Rotary meeting. You cannot simply just turn up on your own. You have to be invited by a member. Having said that, though, Rotary is innovating, and one of the things that they have done is that persons can go online. Persons who are interested in Rotary and want to learn more about Rotary, they can go online and indicate what country and what region of a country they are from, and they can indicate that they're interested in joining a Rotary club. That will then filter down to the membership chair of a particular club and the assistant governor. They will interview that person, and if that person is thought to be a good fit for a particular club, they'll be invited to come to the meetings. And if there is a mutual, if it is thought to be mutually beneficial, both to the potential member as well as the club will take it further and invite that person to become a member of the club. So there is that innovation where an individual can go on the Rotary website and initiate the possibility of becoming a member of a club. But usually it's by a member of a club inviting you to a club meeting, and it evolves from there usually.
I would like for you to just spend 2 minutes on when you say a proper fit. What does that mean exactly? Because I don't want people to go away thinking that means an address, or if you're broke, or what does it mean exactly? Because there is a financial aspect to belonging to a club. So what does that mean exactly?
All right. So perhaps the best way of answering that question is to tell you what the core values of Rotary are.
Absolutely.
So we have 5 core values in Rotary: integrity, fellowship, service, leadership, and diversity. Those are 5 core values. Our motto is service above self. So we believe that a life dedicated to serving others is important. Now, the truth is, Sandra, that people join Rotary for different reasons. Some people, networking is of paramount importance to them. Others like the camaraderie and the fellowship and the backslapping and so on. But at the heart of Rotary is service. That is what characterizes Rotary. That is what makes us who we are. The rendering of service to our communities. So at the core, that is what we are about. And you will find a lot of times persons who may have joined primarily, say, for networking, if they don't find the other aspects of Rotary to their liking, they may find that they do not remain members for very long. One of the problems with Rotary is that we have been stuck at 1.2 million members for a very long time. And it's not that we don't have new members joining Rotary, but we as the truth is, there are a lot of members who join and within the first 3 years exit Rotary because it does not meet their expectations. And sometimes that is because at the outset, in terms of the interviewing process and the mutual assessment, enough care wasn't taken to explain to people that service at the end of the day is what Rotary is primarily about. Yeah.
Hugh, what are your requirements and how do you get into Kiwanis?
All right. Kiwanis and Rotary are very similar. The typical Kiwanian gets invited to join a Kiwanis club. In my case, it was my neighbor, and he invited me. But what I would say is that anyone can join a Kiwanis club if they have a need for service. If the Kiwanis vision, and I'm going to explain, the Kiwanis vision is that we Kiwanis will be a positive influence in communities worldwide, so that one day all children will wake up in communities that believe in them, nurture them, and provide the support they need. So if that vision excites you, if our motto is serving the children of the world, because in fact they are in the future. So you can, if you are interested in service, I mean, Kiwanis, we go, for example, my club, we have a monthly church service. We go to churches, we talk about what Kiwanis is about. if you are in the church and you feel moved by what we're doing for the children in Jamaica, you simply reach out to a Kiwanian. We will take your information. We invite you to our meeting so that you can get a feel of, what this meeting is like. We take you on a project, and if this is what you want to do, you will then fill out the necessary forms and be inducted. Now, Sandra, you mentioned about the financial commitment. My view is that there's really no serious hindrance in terms of financial commitment. What is happening is that persons who complain about the fees are not seeing the value. If they were engaged in projects, if they were benefiting from the service projects that they're doing, the fee wouldn't have any consequence. My club, as I mentioned earlier, our fee is $12,000 for the year. That's $1,000 for the month. That is $250 for the week. Now, I can tell you, if you are getting the benefit, that fee will not be a problem, and it doesn't have to be paid in one go. In our club, you can give us $1,000 every month, and your fee will be paid by the end of the year.
Yes, but I still want you to speak to the type of individuals that you're looking for. Not necessarily black, white, or pink, but in terms of character, in terms of commitment, in terms of bringing something to the table. Because I hear you, Bill, and when I was president, I had an issue with that in terms of persons leaving because they don't think that what they came to get, they're getting. My thing is, what are you bringing to the table? That has always been my thing. If you're not happy with it, and that goes for everything that I do, whether it is the business that I am in, or a club that I'm in, or a school that I attend, if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. And that's how I've always looked at things. So as much as, yes, you join the club because you think it is X, but I believe the commitment to service, as you rightly said, should usurp or be the stronger of the values in terms of why am I here and what is my commitment to this group and to myself, because it is volunteerism. Nobody is forcing you to be there. Nobody asked you to come, or maybe we may have introduced it to you, but it would be maybe because you showed an interest in it. But I wanted to speak a little bit, Hugh, and I'm saying this to say, many persons will say that they would like to join, or they are left out because, so you need to speak a little bit about sometimes the choices that you make in early life if you want to do certain things, because there's an element, as Bill said, of integrity and what you bring to the club. That there is a part to that. And so if you have from early on the desire to become a member of a group such as Optimist, Rotary, Kiwanis, then there has to be a level of, what is the word I'm looking for? Apart from integrity, transparency, honesty, enthusiasm, because really and truly are looking for persons who will bring something to the table, aren't you? You?
Yes, you are. And I think we mentioned it, Sandra.
But I want you to be deliberate about pointing it out, because persons will say they Rotary and Optimists and Kiwanis is only a certain type of people.
No.
Because what we look like, or how we move, or how we operate as a group. But what is the real core value is really the who you are, not what you have. That's what I want you to bring out. Is the who, is the what you bring to the table.
Only two things, in my view, only two things.
Yes.
Firstly, most importantly, desire, a willingness to serve.
Yes.
That is the primary requirement, a desire to serve. The other thing I would say is that you must be a person of integrity.
Right.
In Kiwanis, our primary audience in terms of our motto, serving the children of the world, is children. We cannot have persons, pedophiles, persons who are going to harm those children. Once you have that, you don't have to be in any white collar job. You don't have to, you have to have those two qualities. In fact, some of the best Kiwanians that I have experienced are not persons who are financially well off, but they are committed to the movement and they are persons of integrity. No, I must say, Sandra, that part of the issue with Kiwanis is that it cannot be a one-way street. In other words, it must be win-win. So, and I mentioned it earlier, as Kiwanians, we must take care of each other. In my club, if I need a urologist, I'm going to look for a urologist in Kiwanis. And so if we take care of each other, it will help us to take care of others. But that can't be the reason why we're joining.
Right.
In other words, you can't be joining because you are a struggling life insurance salesman and you believe that if you come, you will sell a business. I can tell you, if you come and do service, people will seek you out for your insurance. But then it is a service that comes first, not your self-interest. But there are no requirements about, you must drive a car or you must live in a certain area or none of those requirements. Service, integrity.
Absolutely. Let me just remind our guests, the reason why we go live, we want your input. We want, if it's even an experience that you have had, a little two-liner. Is it if you're a Rotarian or a Kiwanian? If you want to encourage, if you want to ask a question, if you have always wanted to join a service club, please remember the forum is right there. You ask questions. You have the experts here to give the answers to the questions. Yes, Bill, you were going to say something?
Yes, I was going to say, Sandra, that our club meets every Friday morning. We're a breakfast club, or traditionally a breakfast club. Of course, with COVID-19, we haven't been meeting in person, although we've had a few hybrid meetings.
Since you touched on it, let us just talk how that has affected the whole movement of volunteerism during this COVID period.
Okay, well, we have it has not adversely affected us at all. What happened, Sandra, is that before COVID occurred, our club had actually pivoted towards holding meetings that were hybrid. We have a lot of members who travel a lot. And so prior to COVID, we had decided that we would Zoom our meetings. We would allow our meetings to be broadcast on the Zoom platform so that those members who were traveling could still participate in our meetings. So when COVID hit, it was easy. It was an easy transition for us to make. We have had several hybrid meetings during that period where we have had in-person and the Zoom platform at the same time. However, the majority of our meetings have been on Zoom, but it has in no way, shape, or form detracted from our service projects, because those projects have still gone ahead. And in fact, people actually look forward to participating in those projects because it allows them to actually come together. It gives them an opportunity to come together and actually see each other and interact with each other. So it has not in any way affected our service projects. What it has affected is our ability to fundraise. It has had a negative impact on our fundraising, and it has forced us to find innovative ways of fundraising. But in terms of the projects themselves, we have continued with our projects.
You were saying that you have breakfast meetings, and let's go a little bit into that as well, because people are listening. So persons who are interested.
So what I was about to say, Sandra, fellowship is extremely important. I have a meeting every Friday, and I look forward. That is one of the high points of my week, attending my Rotary Club meeting, because it genuinely is a fun meeting. There is an element of fun. We usually have an outstanding guest speaker who brings value, and at the end of that, you have learned something new. It has allowed you to make some change in your life, or to do something that will brings value to the members of the club. So the guest speakers, the camaraderie at the meetings is just second to none. So I look forward to attending that meeting on a weekly basis. But that serves as a catalyst for doing projects. It is not an end in itself. It is what brings us together to allow us to do impactful projects, that camaraderie, that fellowship, that is the glue that holds us together. And as you said, I mean, if I wasn't a Rotarian, a lot of the people I know and consider friends now, I would not have met. I would have continued in my narrow field of urology. I would not have had the opportunity to meet people from so many different fields. It is something that I would definitely wholeheartedly commend to people to become either a Kiwanian or a Rotarian, or join some other service club, because the tremendous value, as Hugh said, it's a win-win proposition. Win-win.
Yes. Hugh?
Okay. My experience has been a little bit different from Bill's in that I would say COVID has had a mixed impact. So let me go down to that a little bit. On the negative side, what we have found is that, for example, our older members struggle with the technology. Some of them have never used a computer, so when you're talking about if they don't have a young person in their home to help them, then they're going to struggle. Maybe the biggest adverse impact has been on our service leadership program, because as you know, many of our schools have struggled with face-to-face classes. So it means that I would say the majority of our service leadership program clubs have either not met or are struggling to meet. So that's another negative. The other negative I'd mentioned, aside from fundraising that Bill mentioned, is that sometimes you struggle with service projects. And I'll give you an example. One of our signature projects is called Meals on Wheels. And we take meals from the family pot, from donations, and go into the press communities. We now have social distancing. We have minimums in terms of mixing. So when we go to these communities, we have to be watching. It can't be more than say 3 or 4 Kiwanians, because we want the beneficiaries to be there. So we can't take up the space in terms of 15 or whatever. So those are what I would call the negative impacts of COVID. On the positive side, for the younger persons like all 3 of us on this call, it's much easier. It's much easier for us to meet. I don't have to travel to my club meeting anymore. I can stay here. As soon as my club meeting ends, I can log on to another call. So interclubbing is no longer a problem. Conventions. We typically have conventions either in the Caribbean or in Canada. So you have to travel to Canada. The convention we had this year, the district convention, was in Barbados. I don't have to travel to Barbados. No more traveling. Convention was digital. So the numbers of persons who could take advantage of a convention is significantly higher. The final positive, I would say, is that somehow my experience has been that the meetings are more interesting, because persons now have to work. They can't just rely and say, well, the persons will come and everybody will feel happy because we're together. They have to work. I've seen a lot more interesting speakers, a lot more interesting topics, a lot more interesting meetings. So I think that because of COVID, clubs have had to be a lot more innovative, and that has been a benefit. So it's a mixed picture.
One thing I would add to that, Sandra, and Hugh touched on it, are who your guest speakers are. So we have had guest speakers from all over the world. And I'm talking about people at the top of their game who, under normal circumstances, you could never get to come to Jamaica, because of time and constraints and other things. And we have had outstanding guest speakers, not just my club, but in general. And so that is one of the major pluses of the COVID-19, the ability to really get outstanding guest speakers from any corner of the globe to address your club meeting.
Awesome, awesome. Well, as we wind down this very interesting conversation, I like to always leave my talks with, some takeaways that you want to impart to our viewers on, what Rotary has done for you and what you'd like them to, and for want of a better word, give them a word of encouragement where volunteerism is concerned. What are some of the things that, we mentioned them, but just in wrapping, I just want you to say, or if there's anything else that you would want to say to our viewers where, of course, Rotary and Kiwanis is concerned, because, I don't think they truly understand the impact that service clubs have on Jamaica. A lot of things we would not have. A lot of things would not have been done outside of service clubs and non-profit organizations. A lot of the work in terms of schools and scholarships that our foundations offer to Jamaicans. Persons have studied overseas, or we have had exchange programs. I don't think they know a lot of those things that we offer. So if we could just, in wrapping, I wanted to talk about the exchange program. Is it still on in a COVID setting? How has COVID affected those exchange programs and the work that the foundation does? Because the foundation does a lot of work, I'm sure, on both sides. So we'll start with you, Bill, and then I hand over to you, Hugh.
Yes, Sandra. So on a fundamental level, Sandra, I think that a person's level of happiness is not related to their material possessions or, the self-accumulation of things and money, but rather it is based on the quality of relationships. First of all, the relationship with a higher being, whoever that higher being you deem to be. In my case, that higher being is God. It depends on the relationship with yourself, and most importantly, it depends on your relationship with the persons in your community. Your happiness also depends on finding a purpose for your life.
Right.
That purpose, it is said that every human being that is born comes with a specific purpose. And the two most important dates in a person's life is the date they are born and the date they find the purpose for which they were born. And I think that purpose is never about benefiting you primarily. It is about giving service to others. It is about your because you lived, the world is a better place.
Absolutely.
And what better way to do that through service to others? The thing about volunteerism, and specifically about joining a club like Kiwanis or Rotary or other clubs, is that it allows you to leverage the skill sets and the diversity of a lot of different persons to do stuff on a much grander scale than you would have been able to do on your own. And in doing so, you meet a lot of people, you develop friendships, relationships that I mentioned. That is what life is all about, relationships. So you get to meet a lot of people, you forge relationships, and through those relationships, you leverage those relationships to help your fellow man, and in so doing, you actually help yourself. So I think that is what, on a fundamental level, that's what volunteerism is all about. It is about the quality of your life. As I said earlier, nobody cares what car you drove or how big a house you lived in. It is what you did for somebody. Did you help somebody go through school? Did you give somebody a word of encouragement that they'll never forget? Did you do something for somebody that makes their life better? And in so doing, you feel good about your own life, because there's a selfish component to giving. There is a feel good feeling that you have when you help somebody. And let's not overlook that. You actually feel good. So as Hugh keeps saying, it's a win-win proposition any way you take it. And your life, the quality of your life is much better than just being a selfish blob of protoplasm, just self-aggrandizing things for yourself. As Bob Marley said, if my life is for me, myself,
me
and
no want it.
It makes sense, live it, right?
Absolutely. I quote him on a quote that I do that quote on a regular basis. Absolutely, William. Hugh, over to you.
All right, three quick things I want to say. And what Bill has said about the self-benefit of service is integral. But I think if you talk to the majority of Jamaicans, what is it that they want? They want a better Jamaica. How are we going to get a better Jamaica? It is through our children. And the Kiwanis motto, serving the children of the world, means in Jamaica, serving the children of Jamaica. It is only through that service that we have any possibility that all that we see wrong with Jamaica now can be changed through the children who we have positively impacted. If that is not sufficient to prompt you to call Bill or myself to join Kiwanis, I would say to you, let us be aware that if we continue to have a multitude of persons who are depressed, one day these persons will be coming for us. So if for no other reason, it should be self-interest to ensure that we can help others to rise out of poverty and self-actualize. And the final thing I would say is that if you need yet another benefit, think about Hugh Reid. When I was a youngster in the 1970s, there was a group called the Persuaders, and they had a song called "Some Guys Have All the Luck." I just didn't have any confidence at all. And now, primarily not even through university. The university is just book knowledge. Through Kiwanis, I have no problem speaking in public. I have led organizations as president and CEO, and that was only possible through the University of Kiwanis.
It would be remiss of me to end this program without speaking about family, the importance of family, which is what is sadly lacking in the country today, I think. The importance of family. when it comes to Rotary and when it comes to Kiwanis? Just 2 minutes on
Okay,
that.
well,
I'll start with you, Bill.
I'll go first, Sandra. So family is extremely important to Rotary. In fact, in many Rotary clubs, they encourage you to have an officer that deals with the family of Rotary. That's how important family is to Rotary. We believe that when someone joins a Rotary club, it's not just the individual joining the Rotary club, but the family. And we always involve the family, certainly in things like inductions, in projects as well. Family members can come. When we're having social events, family is invited. In other words, the family is very much part of Rotary. And it's something that we definitely focus on and we do not leave out at all.
Hugh?
Well, I would say that Kiwanis took a big step in 1988 with the admission of women into the Kiwanis movement, because that brought women into the mainstream of Kiwanis. Women were always in Kiwanis, but they were on the fringes outside of the clubs. So in 88, we brought women into the mainstream of our meetings, our clubs, our club life. And I think that would have helped in terms of the cohesion of the family. And of course, the motto, serving the children of the world, means that Kiwan is focusing on children, and children are the byproduct of a family. In fact, sometimes we believe that good is only in the future, but sometimes good is in the past. Because one of the things that, speaking personally from my own Kiwanis club, that we have lost, and COVID has made it worse, is that in our club we had monthly board meetings. These board meetings were at the home of Kiwanians, and Kiwanians would come into the home, the family would be there, and it helped to educate the family about what is it that this husband is doing, and they would see the benefits of the service, and they would be more motivated as a family to support. And when you go on interclubs in the middle of the night, nobody will worry what you're doing, because they know you are about serving the children of Jamaica.
Yes, absolutely. Well, guys, Bill, Hugh, this is very near and dear to my heart. I just want to thank you so much I'm hoping that it will motivate persons out there to at least start thinking about volunteerism, and at least, reading up on the different service clubs, and if you want to join a service club, because as all three of us have said, we have benefited a lot from giving service, and as Bill has said many times in this 1 hour, it's really about the life that you live, not the things that you have in terms of the physical, the house, the car, the cash. Many persons have made that the end all and be all. We who have let's say the experience of both sides knows the difference and can safely say that it is extremely fulfilling, extremely rewarding, and it has made a very big difference in our lives as well as the lives of persons who are less fortunate. And we just want to encourage you. This is not something that persons really have on a talk show talking about volunteerism. Why have I chosen to speak about volunteerism? Because it is important. It is extremely, extremely important. Because behind the scenes, you have no idea the amount of work that is put in by all of these volunteer organizations. And a lot of commendation is to be said about these service clubs and all persons who give of their time and talent and financial gains, and just in general, a big thank you to all persons who have chosen to become volunteers. Hugh, Bill, I just want to once again congratulate both of you for taking on this mammoth task, because I know from sitting in the seat of presidency that the jobs that you have right now is not a walk in the park. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of time spent, but I know it is a part of you. It comes from the heart. And I must say, I appreciate, and I'm speaking on behalf of all the persons who have benefited from your mentorship and from your input and from your giving. We just want to say congratulations. Thank you for the work that you do, because sometimes it's a thankless job, because we're not doing it for thanks. Sometimes it's a thankless job, but we want to just say thank you so much. Thank you for joining me on the program tonight. Folks, please just think about it. Think about joining, not necessarily Kiwanis or Rotary, because you have Optimists, you have Lions Club, you have several. Read up about them and just choose one. Or in your own way, you can give an hour or two. You don't have to join a club to be a volunteer. Excuse me, you can give an hour or two to any passion that you have. So once again, good night. See you next week. Same place, same time. Excuse me. Thanks again, Hugh, Bill.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Thank you for your service, Sandra. And I'm looking for my third invitation in the not distant future.
Thank you, Sandra.
No problem. You know I'll find something for you to talk about.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, folks, for joining us. See you next week, same place, same time. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful week. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.